Okay, learning to learn. Again, it's one of those things where you look at the topic and you think, I must be crazy. Because you go to school every day and you learn stuff, and you learn stuff outside of school. Learning's not hard. It actually can be. And I want to explain more about how to do it correctly and how to get your own obstacles out of your way and how to do it intentionally. So, learning to learn is about intention, which brings us to our first point here. To learn, first, you have to try to do it. So this is the intentionality part. I'm doing this on purpose. You would be surprised how many athletes go to practice to just hang out with their friends. They have no intention of really getting better that day. Their intention is to have a good time with their friends. And there's nothing wrong with having a good time with your friends. The problem comes in if you are going to later regret losing things you would rather have won. You got to put the work in beforehand. So trying to learn has to be a goal. It has to be something you do on purpose. Other people may go to practice with the intention of getting better because they're going to play really hard. But they forget the part where you're going to have to do new things. You're going to have to learn new things and implement them if you want to learn, as opposed to just playing and accidentally getting better along the way. So most of what gets in the way of people learning to learn better, people learning their sport faster, is something they're going to have to control. And you're going to have to control your ego. Your ego is such a problem, not for you, for everybody. Egos get in the way. You're going to do whatever it is you do. You're going to set, you're going to pass, you're going to hit, you're going to stand places that make sense to you. You're going to swing your arm, you're going to move your arms, you're going to touch the ball in ways that make sense to your body. Somehow or another, you're going to arrive at every skill you've gotten through a little bit of training, through a lot of play, through having fun, through just doing your sport, and we all do all these skills so differently. Now, there are a bunch of people, there's a group of people that don't do their skills differently, and they are the best people. Most of the best setters touch the ball pretty similarly. Most of the best passers move their feet, shape their body, move their arms pretty similarly. Most of the best hitters have a certain way that they are getting this done. And these people either are intensely gifted and they just happen to be amazing at that skill, or, with the vast majority of them, it has been trained into them with great effort and great intention and great intelligence and great awareness. They have done these things to themselves. They have changed the way they move on purpose. So they had to go into practice trying to get these things figured out. And they had to get the way they wanted to do things, their own ego. Like, I'm not bad, I'm not awful. Well, I know you're not awful, I just want you to be better. And this is how the best people do it, so let's try it this way. They had to get their own ego out of the way. Now, to get these things figured out, you can't do it alone. You're going to have to recruit the help of others. And this is okay. Again, this is an ego thing. People think that if they need help, that they must be weak or something like that. I don't know. I've never understood it. I always found people that knew more than me and drew information out of them as fast as I could because I was interested in beating everybody I ever played. That's how I like to play. I like to play and end up the winner. And so I found people that knew stuff and I said, how do I do that? And even though I had that attitude, I still got in my own way sometimes because I found myself just thinking, I do that well enough, leave me alone. The real problem's over here in this other skill. Whereas I had found coaches that were willing to help me in everything, even the things I didn't want help with. I've been there before? I have. So we're going to recruit the help of others so that we can get information faster. Not only stuff that we don't know that we're interested in, but things that we don't know that we're not interested in. I'm going to give you a quick example about things you may not be interested in. Going to the ground, diving, rolling, sprawling. These things hurt to learn. And after coaching volleyball for well over 30 years, it is the most common thing that athletes think they're good enough at. We're fine, go ahead and leave me alone there and teach me how to hit. I was human too. I was terrible at diving and it was a painful process. I wasn't awesome at it and I had to learn. And if I hadn't had a coach that made me do it, I never would have gotten there, which means I never would have gotten to as good as I became. And I'm happy I became very good because I got to win a lot, which is, again, part of what makes sports fun and makes it worth doing. All right, so if we're going to get all these things done, we're going to go try intentionally to learn. We're going to get our ego out of the way so our coaches can help us. After we've recruited their help, we then have to be open to change. You guys, it is amazing how much your body wants to continue to do things the way it's always done them. It's very comfortable for you to do whatever it is you do, however it is you do it. And the problem with continuing to do things the way you've always done them is that you will continue to get the same results. So if you're not already the best, you won't become the best without changing. So change has to be something you're seeking, not avoiding. So don't just be open to change, be looking to do it. Now, in order to do that, in order to be open to change, you should always have a goal. And I don't mean a single goal. I mean for everything you do. So let's say you're working on that diving, rolling, hitting the ground thing. Let's say you're working on diving or rolling. Your goal will be in your head whether you want it there or not. So the goal of most kids is to not hit the ground. Now that's not written down in English in a journal, and that's not something you say in the back of your head. But if you throw a ball and say, go get it, to an untrained, not great at it, hit the ground person, they will kind of and put their hands down and put their knees down, and they won't ever really hit the ground because they're hoping to not get hurt. Their goal is to not get hurt. And so by extension, their goal is to not dive. Even though you've never said it in English, even though you're not a jerk, even though you want to be better, if you don't have a goal on purpose, your goal will be to not get hurt, and so the extension is to not dive. So your goal should be, if you want to get better, to dive, I don't know, 20 times a drill or 100 times a practice or whatever it is. And I don't want to give you that number. What I want you to do is figure that number out on your own. Here's how you do it. You go find somebody amazing at going to the ground, diving, rolling, sprawling, and count. Just give it 5 minutes of regular play and see how many times their hips, body, chest, arms end up on the ground with them skidding or rolling. Go count. And then multiply that 5 minutes by however many 5-minute sections you have in your practice, and that'll be a number that will be astronomical. Really good players are on the ground constantly when they're in the back row. And so you'd be surprised how often people do it. And once you're good at it, it doesn't matter. That's why they do it so often. It's such a useful skill, hitting the ground, that it's done all the time. Now, this is not a learn to dive video. It's a learn to learn. And my point is that when we're talking about something we don't really want to do, the back of our head's trying to avoid it, it's trying to distract us and get us something more fun, like hitting, that we just won't have these goals if we don't do them on purpose. So have goals. If there's something I'm bad at, don't avoid it, do it. In order to do it, I'm going to do it this many times minimum, or something. Have a goal for that thing that you're bad at, that you're trying to change, that people are giving you help on, and get your ego out of the way. It's okay that you're not great at it. Just learn and get better and beat people more often. Because you got to understand that learning is not hearing. So here's how you dive, kids. And you're like, yeah, I've heard that. I got it. I already learned how to dive. Well, hearing something is not learning it. In fact, even I've heard it and I can describe it. There, see, I didn't just hear it. I can describe it. I could probably teach somebody how to do it. Well, that doesn't mean you've learned it. It just means you're familiar with the concept. I had a kid one time, this is great. I was talking about this new skill, and the kid goes, yeah, I heard of that. And I said, what? Wait, the kid said, yeah, I heard of that. You what? He said, I heard of that. Oh, you've heard of that. Got it. Well, what does it mean? How do you do it? I kind of pressed him a little bit, and he went, I heard of that's always been good enough for my other coaches. It was awesome. I asked him how hurting dats was, and he didn't get that one. But anyways, hearing about something, being able to describe it, those aren't good enough. Learning is, first of all, doing something. You have to do something in order to begin to learn it. Whatever it is, go. And then look at it and say, how was that? Was that good like the good people do it? Or was it something that resembled them, but the results didn't resemble them? So when I dove, did the ball come up just as well as the really good person? If not, I'm going to need to change. I'll ask somebody how to do that. And then I'll have a goal for how well I'll get the next few done. And now, again, compare. I'll go back. After doing something, learning continues. You have to own it. So just being able to do something like diving. Look, I can dive, and a kid falls down, and look, I see I hit the ground. Did the ball come up? If it did, great. If it didn't, bad. When you did it hurt? Because if it hurts, you're not going to keep doing it. People that dive and hit the ground all the time, it doesn't hurt. They figured out how to do it, so it's not a big deal. You can't just do something and say you've learned it. You have to own it. You have to be good enough at it that you don't hate it. You have to be good enough at it that you actually start to enjoy it. The things you enjoy because you're good at them. The things you don't enjoy, you hate because you're bad at them, or they hurt, or both. I want you to own it. I want this to be no big deal so you can use it at will, and it's one of the things in your arsenal that you just pull out whenever you need it, and you go beat more people. Now, besides just doing it, and then getting to owning it, you have to remember then to use it. So we're talking about things you've avoided or things you're not good at. And so do them, get to the point that you're good at them, own them. Then you got to remember to use it in competition. This is the problem with so many good skills that coaches work on. We'd spend 20, 30 minutes of a practice giving you this great tool that because it's not part of what you've done, you forget to use it. You got to have goals about using these things that are new or that you were bad at, that you're improving on. You got to have goals. You got to say, I got to go out and use this thing until it makes sense to me the way I've seen it makes sense to the really good people. They use it, I don't know, not all the time, but they go to the ground, whatever it was, 20 times a match. They tip instead of hitting 3 times a match. So figure out, I have to tip at least 3 times. I have to go down at least 20 times. And then you'll begin to really own those things, and remembering them won't be an issue. And then finally, after doing them, becoming good at them and owning them, remembering to use them so you're a better player, using them at the correct times, you can begin to do the most important thing, the thing that all of us are after. You can begin to master that skill. And then you will have learned it, and you could actually use it, teach it, do whatever you got to do with it, but it won't be a problem anymore. Ladies and gentlemen, this list is something that can help you learn to learn things faster. I hope you use it. I hope it helps. And we'll see you the next time around.